Salubran Bafethu, welcome to another episode of What Keeps You Going with them Charlies. Mangabe yaqala ukuyibukela sicela ungakhohlwa ukulike, usubscribe, ushare. Lama line showing ngifundisa Sophia, basizoqala show yethu. Guys, don't forget to tell them to subscribe, share and like. So today is the guest who's also a close friend to me, nomfazi wami. After information I discovered today, I call it babe, so my proposal. Just to give you context, okay, from our discussion with her, right, Usof has just shared with almost your relationship with guys. We proposed.
You're exposing me. I don't like that. You're exposing me.
But for people who are singing, when you think about it, right, what is it that you do to these guys? Do you pray? Do you fast?
I don't even pray. I don't think I personally go out there looking for marriage.
Yeah.
Because after everything that I've been through, marriage is not really my priority. And every time I get in a relationship, I do tell those guys, I'm looking for something serious. I'm looking for something stable.
Yeah.
But marriage is not my forte because I normally don't even want to meet their family members.
Yeah.
I have zero interest in that. But still, they propose. I don't know what I do. I don't know. It would be interesting if you got all of them here and
maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe you should get there, right? So your story is fascinating, right? So you've dated before you got married. You dated for like 10 years.
Yeah.
How was that? How was Umjoyo?
So I met my significant other, my ex-husband, when I was still 13. We went to the same church. And then we started dating the day after I turned 14.
Yeah.
So we dated for a good 9 years, and during that 9 years, we went to the same high school, went to the same church, went to the same university, and eventually we even worked for the same company. So, Jolo, for me, I was so in love. Okay?
You guys were like the golden couple.
We were, and it was never our intention. It's something that came so naturally. I mean, I loved everything about him. He was like 2 years older than me, but he was my advisor. Everything that we achieved in life, from the age of 14, you can imagine, we were very young. We had nothing basically. We were still living under our parents' roof. We were still fully dependent on them. So everything that we acquired, even a spoon, we acquired together by the time we got married. Dating for me was so nice. It was so nice. There was no me without him, and there was no him without him. We even had like a pet name. That's how everybody knew us. I mean, we were in each other's spaces that much. And I often wondered when people even break up, it was like, what's wrong with that? I could not relate. That's how good it was. I could not relate.
Sure.
Yeah, for me, from the first day, it's like I just knew that he was going to be my forever. So I thought, yeah.
You also went through university with this guy.
Yeah. So since he was 2 grades ahead of me, I remember he got accepted at Vets. We were originally from Limpopo, same community.
Maybe let's start there.
Okay.
How you guys met,
We met at church. We met at church. I'm a PK, I'm a pastor's child. And I frequented quite a lot at church. So we had moved into a new community after my father sadly passed away. So when we moved there, I still continued. I went to the same church whereby my father was a pastor at, was a reverend at. So, and when I was old enough, by the age of 13, when I was old enough to now join the youth at church, that's where we actually met. So at first he had crunches, he'd broken his leg, and he tried to talk to me, and I was like, nah, not there. And I had not started dating at that point in time. So, but then he just kept on pushing. He became a friend, sort of. And yeah, months later, I remember the 4th of September, the day after I turned 14, that's when he officially proposed. And for me, it was like, I'm not really feeling you. I won't say I love you too, but I can say, let's give it a try.
Yeah.
And me saying, let's give it a try, he went full in. And 2 months down the line, I really, really caught feelings. Because I honestly don't believe in love at first sight. Yeah. For me, it takes so much more for me to fall in love. Yeah. And he definitely put in the effort.
So at that age, I'm trying to think, most of us, we're afraid of girls. When you're with a girl in assembly, we don't even know what to talk about. So take us through Utando, Lama teenagers. What do you guys discuss? What do you talk about? 15, 16?
Like I said, he was 2 years older than me. So for me, I would consider myself a boring teen because I was mostly a church girl. Even with him, we didn't smoke, we didn't drink, we didn't go partying. But when we were together, it was mainly about school challenges. It was about church, about our future plans. I mean, we had a lot of plans. We were playing around, we were toying around. And I mean, I was the risky one in the relationship, and he kept us safe. So I mean, I enjoyed ballroom dancing while growing up. I was so much into pageants. So he did a lot of research for me, and he would always I can't even explain fully what we used to discuss, but I just know that we're moving forward. We're moving forward, and with everything that I was doing, he was a part of it as much as I was a part of what he was doing. Yeah. So we became friends first more than anything. It was not about the intimacy more than the friendship, the connection that we had. So look at it that way. We were friends. Just that it was a girl and a boy.
Put it like that, right? Especially coming from a week where we received the masters, where teenagers in Gauteng, over 20-something thousand who were pregnant from I think March 2020 to March 2021. So for teenagers, because at that age, obvious kids will explore, kids will fall in love and all that. What would be your advice, especially to girls? To say, if he's talking a certain language, it's red flags. Red flags. If he's talking this type of language, then he might be a good guy. And in getting into those relationships, what can they put in place to say, to be safe on your side and not be taken advantage of, just from your own experiences with a genuine guy looks like this?
Yeah, that is a very, very, very tricky one. More especially because the times keep on changing. When we were dating back then, we didn't even have phones. He literally had to stand by the corner and send some kid to come out. Sure. And now there's so much exposure in terms of the internet. Those are the good times. Standing under a tree, So even if we wanted to be intimate, we needed a house which we didn't have access to, or we needed privacy. We didn't have privacy. Right now, kids of today have so much privacy, and they're able to explore further beyond just getting to know another person. It gets more physical. So that's a very difficult one. And also personally, I've been in that phase. I don't want to look all saint or all innocent and act as though we never did explore, because we did. He was my everything first, and I was also his everything first. So that is a very tricky one. That's a very tricky one. But more than anything, one thing I think I want to speak more to the parents more than I would to the teenagers, because it's not a reflection on the parental method. It's a decision that a child does. It's a phase they're going through. It's the exposure they're under. It's not a reflection. You're not a bad parent. It's that just support your kids as much as you can. Put measurements, protect them as much as you can, reduce or delay giving them phones, especially more access to internet as much as you can. Keep track of them. Don't just allow your child to go have sleepovers anyway. Get to know their friends and their friends' families. Even my son is 5 years old, but he cannot go out and play with a child without me knowing the kid's parents. Because most of these girls, it's not just they got pregnant because they were dating. Some of them have been molested, some of them have been taken advantage of. So certain things, just be friends with your child and take it from there. It's a really tricky one. I honestly cannot pinpoint and say this is the main cause of teenage pregnancy, but more than anything, I think the rise in numbers, it's the exposure more than anything. So if it means you being a strict parent just to delay it a little bit further, do that.
But that's important, right? To say parents should be involved, right? Because in our culture, when a child starts dating, don't even want to know who they are seeing and stuff like that. And I know with your case, both families knew about your thing, knew about the relationship.
More than anything, his part of the family knew that we were actually dating. But after we started dating, our family will travel a lot. We enjoy going on vacations. We have a lot of events within our family. So I introduced him so that he could be able to attend those events. I introduced him to my brother so that they become friends. So for about 4 years, for about 3 years, they knew him as my brother's friend more than he was my friend. So whenever he came to family events, they treated him like a child in the family, part of the family. They really adored him. But now when we had to go to university, I knew we had freedom now.
Yeah.
I knew that we wouldn't have as much parental control and anything can happen. So after the day, the day before I needed to go to university, that's when I sat my mother down. I was like, look, Mama, so I'm no longer a virgin.
Yeah.
This is who it was with, and I'm going to this university. He will be based there. Yeah. So you know. So I sat her down. And I think that's another dangerous thing because I'm from a religious family. As much as they had rules, there are certain boundaries, like there are certain things which was not comfortable with us discussing. I had aunts that used to prep me. You know, with me growing up, when I was young, my aunt used to wake me up every day when I woke up in the morning. She would have me look in the mirror and she'd say, tell yourself that you're beautiful. Yeah. So I used to know, even before a boy could tell me that I'm beautiful, I knew that. So she used to tell me about dating, about sleeping with boys. I used to cry because I was not doing those things. But truth be told is as soon as I was old enough and I started dating, I had no one to talk to, but I already had the lifeguard. I already knew don't do this, and this with a guy. They told me even before I started dating. So talking to your kids while they're still young, preparing them, it's very important because once you're in there, Ashem, you won't listen to anyone. So you won't hear anything. So for me, I was already prepped. I already knew about protection. I was exposed to a lot of things. So even when I sat my mother down, being a pastor's child, I knew she was not expecting me to date, but I was dating and I wanted to let her know I was ready for whatever consequences. I was just bold enough. I was like, she needs to know at the end of the day.
Sure.
There you go.
So how was that conversation with your mom? Were you guys close?
We've been close, but I think we're not close enough to have that conversation at that point in time because the way I was behaving, she never picked up that I was dating. All those years, she never picked up. I mean, when I was going to university, I was 18. So from the day I was 14 up until 18, she never picked up a single time that I was dating. So for me, it was very important to let her in. And I feel like that conversation didn't change our lives that much because I was off to university. She didn't have that much access to me anymore. She had really very little control over it. It didn't change our relationship in any way, really.
Okay. So now take us to university, right? I know a lot of relationships don't survive in varsity. A lot of relationships before varsity, once they get to university, now people options now, you know.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of options and stuff like that, you know. So I know that's where relationships are buried, but yours survive varsity. How? Or was it because you were at you attended the same varsity?
I think so. Honestly, I think so because even back then when I was in varsity, we spent a lot of time, number one, together. That's number one, and we basically started our own mini family. We were fat and set in university. I was hardly ever in my room, but we were set on like our life goals. Yeah. So that kept us together. As much as yes, you had options, but he wasn't giving me a reason for me to look outside. Yeah. You know, I was still with my friend. So when he left, I think that's when my depression set in terms of I dropped out of university. I think that contributed a lot because I could not see the campus without him. He played a huge role. We studied together. So it's not like we're just sitting and being girlfriend and boyfriend. The same way we used to do it in high school because we used to study together. Even right now, we were in the same career stream, even though it was different courses and he was ahead of me. We're in the same career stream. He understood my challenges. He understood when I had to study. He understood when it's time for us to go down and have fun. So I don't think I had to put in much effort. I never had to fake who I was. I was me. He knew me, like the same person he knew back then. Now I was bathing a bit better. He was bathing better. He was dressed up. But in everything that we got, the bursary money, we were spending it together. It seemed like part of life, man. We were just moving on. There was nothing special that happened in varsity that I could say was shifting us. The only difference is that he did propose to me marriage when I was in grade 12. And I remember saying, what do you have to offer? The moment we get married, you're now taking me away from my parents. How are you going to take care of me? And he didn't have an answer to that. But now when we're in varsity and we're both getting bursary money, and it's like, I can take care of you, you know? And the conversation was slowly and swiftly changing, and I was like, give me a chance to finish school, we'll get to that. Those were the kind of conversations we're having. Those are the kind of challenges I can say we experienced. But now we're more focused on working towards something more than we were back in high school.
So now, when did that question now become serious, the question of engagement and marriage? I think grade 12, you're like, no, dude, let's put it aside. Put it off, you can't support me, you can't take care of me. Now, it's after varsity, and you also were in the same field, more or less, you know. Now you're both working. So when did it now become serious? Actually, I want to make you my wife.
I think it's always been serious from day one. It was a question of when did I start taking it serious. From his side, I would like to believe that his intentions were genuine from day one. So on my side, when I did take his proposal serious was when I was, I think, after I told him, give me a chance to graduate. Then I dropped out of university. So, and he was like, okay, now what? What are we waiting for? And because I was into pageant, I was like, please give me a chance to finish this 1 year in terms of pageant. Let me attend this one big pageant, then we can get married in December. So the year that we actually got married in, we had every intention to get married in December, because he was like, you know what, I'm tired of asking you the same question. It's either you marry me now, or when you are done, you are ready to get married, you'll come pay to me, you know. So for me that year already, I think I was prepared, but more than anything, having that conversation with my family, because everyone loved, they adored him, and they also adored me on his side of the family. Everyone was asking me, what are you waiting for? And I think I had fears of being exposed to other people's marriages failing, more than anything. So having that conversation, and I fell pregnant, then we just decided, okay, you can't continue with the pageants anymore. Instead of getting married in December, let's rather move it to August. And that's how we ended up getting married in August. So I think I've always been secured. I've always been content. I've always known that it's him that I wanted to be with. I just wanted the perfect timing. But I don't think there can ever be a good enough or a perfect timing.
Yeah. Your story to many people who are watching seems like a fairy tale.
It felt like a fairy tale. Yeah. It definitely
because
did.
I know for most people, most of us have to have our hearts broken into pieces before you found the one. You know? You seem to have found the one.
Yeah.
So I want to understand, you did it for 10 years, right? So where did things started changing? Because when I listen to your story, it's beautiful from start, Mansa Jola, to marriage.
Yeah, okay. It feels like from the moment we got married, there were like a series of events that just were taking our marriage in a different direction than both of us ever pictured. More than anything, like I said, when we got married, I was already pregnant. So when things started really, really going wrong was when I remember the last day that we were genuinely happy. It was the 23rd of December 2015. I remember it's the day I gave birth to our son. The hospital was filled with both our families. I think I had about 15 people in that hospital waiting for us in the labor room, in the maternity. It was filled with so much love and joy, and I felt really special. You know, it felt like a movie it was like a chapter from a movie. So it was very lovely. So now the problem, like we had discussed that because it's my first child, as soon as I give birth, I'll be going home, back to my family home. But on the 25th of December, it was Christmas. When I got discharged, my family was having a mini celebration. I told you, we love to celebrate. We celebrate anything and everything. So they were having like a welcome home type of a celebration by my house. So when we got there, we got to the garage. Both my in-laws and my mom was in the garage. So my mother-in-law came to the garage, came to our room. She was like, pack your bags and leave. I said, where are we going? She said, to my in-laws' house. I was like, that's not what we agreed on. So there were back and forth quarrels because I said, call my mother, call an elderly person so that they can come speak on my behalf because this is not what we agreed on. And eventually a whole bunch of people, my aunt, my grandmother, even my mother-in-law was also in the room. And at a later stage, my husband came, and the both of us, we were not saying anything. We're just watching adults quarrel. And even that, the word was uttered that, you know what, if she won't be coming with us, we think it's better that they break up. So that's how that day ended up. I was just sitting there crying, but more than anything, that was the start of everything going wrong. But more than anything, it was the adults in both our families quarreling. The next couple of days, my husband did not come to see us, to see me and the child. And that's when I later found out that he actually took off his ring. I tried to ask him why he took off his ring, and he said that the treatment he received from the day we came home made him feel like he's not my husband. Maybe I was not ready to be married. That's why adults were talking on my behalf. And at that point in time, I also felt the same way, like maybe he was not ready to be a husband because he also was not talking on our behalf. We were just two kids sitting back and watching adults quarrel. But then later on, I eventually asked my mom to apologize and the people that were there, and as far as I knew, were okay. But I was forced, honestly speaking, and I'm using the word forced very carefully, because I ended up going to my in-laws' place, not in the best of places. I was going there with the intention to save my marriage. I think my son was about 4 days old by the time I went that side. 4 days old. We went that side, and from the moment we got there, now in my in-laws' house, there were female relatives from his side each and every single day fighting with me, saying that there are things that needs to be done to the child. And I remember I kept on asking, what is it that you are going to do to the child? And they could not tell me. That's all I was being told, that we need to do something. And that further caused fights between him and I, but at the end of the day, we agreed that we won't allow anything to be done to our child, anything traditionally, because no one is willing to give us information.
Even with him?
Even with him, he didn't have that much information, because the information we were getting, it was contradicting each other. You know, they were talking about Rigo, but when we consult the grandmother, she's like, no, your child does not have such. So don't do anything. Don't heal something that, like in Tonga, you don't just drink medicine even though you're not sick, you know, type of thing. So, but eventually, more than anything, I think our space, even between us, we're not in the best position, because every day we were fighting people. As much as we were coming out as a union, it was causing difficulties within us. We were drifting apart. But what really, really set everything in motion right now that drifted us apart is that this one day, I think by then my son was 7 days old, I had phone calls. People in the house were answering phone calls that were like, oh, we'll see you tomorrow at 12. We'll see you tomorrow at 12. And now tomorrow comes. I can see in the morning the normal people that go to work are not going to work. Everyone is going up and down. So clearly, obviously, people are going somewhere at 12. And eventually around 10 a.m. when I was sitting in the sitting room, my husband also was on the phone call. He was like, I'll see you somewhere. We'll see you at 12. Then as soon as he put down the phone, I remember asking him, where's everyone in this house going at 12? He was like, you'll see. Then he just got up and left. I don't know why, but that made me so uncomfortable. Something inside of me just said, cry. And I started crying. A few minutes later, my mother happened to call me, and she was just greeting me. And I just broke down. Like, I could not hold it. I was just crying. And she kept on asking me, what's wrong? What's wrong? And I could not explain it. But really what it was, it's like when I was at home, I was so well taken care of. My mother would even wake up every time the child wakes up in the middle of the night. She would even hold my breast while I'm breastfeeding. Every decision that was being made, I was being consulted on. Now I'm at other people's houses that are doing as they please. And right now, whatever they want to do, it involves me, but I'm not part of the decision. So the aunt eventually got there at 12. She was like, we cannot leave in this state that you are in. What is wrong? I could not explain. And I said, where are we going? And she was also surprised. She was like, yo, your husband didn't tell you? I said, no. She was like, I'm coming back. She left. So there was that in and out, everyone coming to check up on me up until around 3 in the afternoon. I was just crying, and I stopped crying. Eventually, we got in the car. We drove to a nearby village. And as soon as we got to that gate, as much as I have not been exposed to that previously, I knew where we were. We were basically at a Sangoma's house. I remember I still had stitches and I was still in pain. I could not even walk properly, but I was holding on to my son. I just started crying all over again. I remember I held my husband. I was like, I asked you from the very first day when we met, what faith do you believe in? What are your beliefs? You said you believe in the same God that I do. So what are we doing here? And he pushed his hand and he was like, no, you're just being dramatic. We're not here to kill anyone. We are here to help the child. And I was like, what is wrong? You're helping the child. What is wrong with the child? And he walked away. And at that moment, I just held on to my child so hard and I was just crying. It was me and two of his female relatives. I mean, I was overpowered. Yeah. We just went in there, and when we got in there, the Sangoma lady could see that I'm crying. And she tried to read a Bible verse for me just to assure me that she won't do any harm to my child. Yeah. And I remember she asked me 3 questions that required a simple yes or no, and one of the female relatives answered. And that lady said she will not proceed. She needs the go-ahead from me. At that point in time, I gathered enough strength to stop crying and be like to a woman, you can see I'm here against my will. So you do whatever you need to do and I'll get my child and leave. Yeah. So she did whatever process that she did. Through it all, I was crying. Even when I left there, I was crying. I was not prepared to go to where we went. I was not expecting it. And up until today, as I'm sitting here, I do not know what was done to my child, but I do know that I was given a whole lot of muti to use on him. I was even given instruction for him to start being given solid, which is something I did not want to do. So we left that day, and I promise you, I could not stop crying from that day. You know, I was crying so much. I was breastfeeding, but I could not eat. I could not even eat. And by the 3rd day, because I refused for my child to be given that muti, because once again, I did not know what it was for. I refused to give my child that muti. By the 3rd day, because I felt like I'm emotionally worn out by now. I'm numb. It's me against a whole bunch of people, and I felt like I don't have the support of my husband. I was like, I think it will be best if I just abandon my child here. I leave. You do everything that you need to do with him. Once you're done, you give me back my child, and you will never see us again. So that's when I felt like that was the first stepping stone for me to sort of started detaching. I think I was getting ready to leave the marriage at that point in time. But then I was advised by a relative to, now, you know what? You guys already have a home back in Joburg. Leave Limpopo, leave the province, take your whole entire family, go back to Joburg. And I honestly thought us moving far away from everyone would solve everything. But I soon realized that when we moved to Joburg, all of a sudden my husband is working late every day.
Okay, so now before we move to that, right, I just want to just go back a little, right, on the issue of your husband and his support, right, and the in-laws. To someone who's watching here, because I know newlyweds go through that, you know, to say, what could have he done better in your view, you know, as much as the family wants this, you know, what is it where you feel good, he failed me as my husband, as much as the family wanted this and that, at least, because you mentioned an instance where you were in the car and you're trying to tell him good, you're not comfortable with it, and then he says you're being dramatic, you know. Yeah. That's a shock to me now. The guy you were telling me about, Julian, for 10 years, he seemed nice and caring. So I'm like, where did that come from? So what could have he done better?
I think even the Bible does say that the woman will leave her family and the man will leave his family, and together they will start their own family. Yeah. I think that is the one thing that we should have both done. But in my case, I felt like what was practiced was that as a woman, I need to leave my family and cling to his family. But then I have no one because there's no balance. That's how it was. And more than anything, I think the most important thing that couples need to learn is that they are starting their own family. They need to decide which cultures, which rituals, which practices they want to adopt and think. They are not enemies. You are two individuals who've been raised in two different ways, but that now you need to come and see what works. You might feel that the way you were raised is 100% right, but trust you me, it's flawed. The same way that I'm not perfect, I'm also flawed. I think maybe had we also received the right support in terms of getting external advices, it would have helped a lot. This problem, I feel like it was more of us more than him having done anything. I was now at his house. Yes, there was much more expected from him, but because I feel like had I pushed more and say I don't want to do this and fought back, still our marriage wouldn't have survived because they would have said the woman is not submitting. You're not submitting enough. I never stood a chance. He was supposed to fight for us. If it meant cutting off his family, yes, I'm gonna say it. I do expect my husband to be able to do that. He needs to protect us more than he needs to protect them. If you have an opportunity or a chance that as newlyweds you take your family and you go stay somewhere else, do that. Don't force things to go and stay with your in-laws. Don't do that. And also, having a child is a very sensitive thing. You need to be realistic in considering what the support system is. Have a discussion, talk with your woman and stick to that decision. Find out what will work for you, for your family, what would be the right support system. At that point in time, I felt like I can't be at home because there's so much drama that is being caused. But I can't be at his house because there's so much pain being caused to me. Why not go to our place? Why not get me a nanny when we're there? Which is another problem that I had, that even when we were there, he did not want to get me a helper. Yeah. So those are the things we could have avoided. Stayed at our own place. If we were realistic and truly honest with each other, we could have avoided having either or.
And I think more than that, just having that discussion is important to say, what is the culture in your home?
Yeah.
If I'm moving there, what's expected of me, what expected of my child, so that you can have that choice to say, I want to do this, instead of feeling good now you are being ambushed.
Yeah, we did have such discussions. I just wish they were more honest, more than anything, more honest. And I'm well aware that there were certain things that also shook him. He was not expecting them to happen, and they did happen. Yeah. But he should have found a better way to deal with it. Yeah. Be as honest as much as you can, but yeah.
So now, take us to Joburg. I'm thinking after everything has happened, right? Yeah. Now you're going back to your fairy tale story now. Drama happened with the family, you understand. But now going to Joburg, surely things became better.
Yeah, I think the damage from December was already done. You know, there were a lot of things. Now there's nothing that I do that's good enough. And us having gone back to Joburg, honestly speaking, because of the animosity I could feel between us, it wasn't nice anymore. I thought maybe if I submit enough, you know, I'll be good enough, or things will go back. I mean, I started giving my child the motive because I thought maybe if this is what he strongly believes in, let me just give it to him. Yeah. Even though I don't know what it's for, I don't understand, let me give him. That wasn't making any difference. The way he was talking to me, suddenly the way I walk is wrong, the way I talk is wrong. Everything that I do upsets him. And
okay, let's do this right.
Yeah.
I just want to understand that first week. What are the things that you're picking up with? We're not fine with this person. It's the way you communicate. What are those things you're picking up with man? Something has changed. Everything. It was like almost instant when I walked in the house. It was like, you're back. That's how it felt like. You're back. You know, have you ever felt like you're not wanted? You feel it. A person does not have to tell you, but it was like, it's you again type of thing. And the attitude, you know, I was not treated with love. And also, because I was not fully healed with the stitches, we could not engage sexually. Even after I healed with my stitches, I felt like I was not yet ready to engage with him sexually. So the one day I remember he wanted us to engage, but I couldn't. And he was like, you do know that there's a college close by, because we live close to Alex. He was like, there's a college close by. I can drive, go put my car there, and I can have any girl, you know. I can have any girl you want. So at that point in time, it felt like you don't want to hire a helper to help me clean in the house, but you are willing to get someone to help me in the bedroom, you know, type of thing. So even the language has changed, even the help in the house. I remember he was forever working on the laptop. We worked for the same company. I knew the amount of workload or stress level he could be. Yes, there are special situations, I get it, but it can't be every day. But he was not helping me in the house. I expected a freshly cooked meal every day. I mean, I even had to learn to master how to cook, holding a child in one hand, like cooking pap with the others. Those kind of things. There are things that I was not used to, but I was willing to do for the sake of saving our marriage. It's not the kind of language I was used to. I mean, the phone calls from his family I was getting, all of them were to bring me down. I mean, you know, even in Joburg, they couldn't reach me physically, but I had to take their phone calls. And I felt like I can't cut them off, because now I'm being told
words such as, you don't love my family because we are not rich enough, or we are poor, or we are this and that. And I needed to listen to the phone calls. Even today I hate 3 minutes. Those Vodacom 1 hour, 60 minutes. I had to listen 60 minutes being told how much I'm a rich, spoiled kid who will never understand poor people problem, that if I want out, such ways I was receiving from my in-laws, that if I want out, I should tell them, and they'll arrange for me to leave, just as easy as that. Maybe I need a rich family to be married to. Things were being...
those opinions from them. I don't understand why. I understand coming from your husband because you live with him, you talk to each other every day. But with family members, what's the information they are receiving about you that makes them think you don't want to be with your husband?
I don't know what conversations were going on between my in-laws and my husband, but one thing I do know, like a simple thing as me calling my mother and not calling them, or it would be like, oh, so you are not yet ready to be part of us, or cooking things in a certain way, and they're like, oh, you can't even cook. I remember I started gaining weight, and I said he's gaining weight because I'm feeding him nonsense. And I remember I called one of the family, I called my family relative, I called my in-laws, like, okay, I'm cooking the way I've been taught in my family. Please teach me how to cook your way so that I can learn. And now the whole rumor was like, it went on the whole family that I'm cooking trash. I can't cook at all. Yeah, I'm not a pro. I'm still not a pro, honestly speaking. But I felt like they could have taught me had they wanted me to improve in certain ways. Yeah. I had started losing weight. There were so many things that were going on, honestly speaking. But more than anything, I started losing myself in that whole process. Where everything that they were saying to me, it killed my self-esteem. I could not hang up on them because I'll be told that I don't accept them. I just had to listen to that 1 hour, take the call for that 1 hour, being told how much of a horrible person that I am. There were so many things that happened in those months, but more than anything, the treatment I was getting from my husband, it's not what I expected, or it's not what I'm used to, the treatment. I remember the one day I was like, you treated me like a princess all these years. And also, sometimes he would question, like, also, this is what I paid Lobola for. So I remember this one day, I was like, I think it would be better we pay you back your Lobola if that's what it would take for me to have the old you back. Because I think the weight that 9 years, maybe he felt like I will change. I don't know when he suddenly pays, but no. We were staying together for about 6 months before then. How was I supposed to change really? And now I have a child. I'm a first-time mother. I don't even know what I'm doing as a wife. I don't know what I'm doing as a mother, but I don't have the support either. They're saying when I do something, I'm doing it wrong because I'm still doing it the Tshabala way. Show me the right way. Yeah. I don't have that support. All I'm receiving is question after question and mockery after mockery. Even the way that I looked horrible. Hey, I won't lie. I lost so much weight. The Vaseline could not even sit on my face. And when I was going there, they were like, oh, you used to be a model. You used to look good, but look at you. Their son was glowing. I was looking horrible. And they looked at it as like a trophy of some sort. I'm failing as a wife. But I think they failed me more than anything. Yeah. I look good because my family took care of me.
So, and your mom, I'm trying to understand, when your daughter is going through that, and I know how protective mothers are, or you were hiding some of the stuff from her?
I was not hiding some of the stuff. I was hiding everything from everyone, because when you're married, you're a married woman, you don't talk, right? You protect your marital issues. And the other thing, which was the nail, what finalized us separating, it was like 3 weeks in June, leading up to our separation, or to the biggest event that led us to separate. My mother happened to come on a Friday. I remember she called me. She was like, oh, I'm rushing to Joburg to do this and that. And when she got here, whatever time she got here, and at a later point, around 7 p.m., we just had a knock on our door. When we opened, it was my mom, my mother, and her friend. So they needed accommodation, a place to sleep for the night. And my husband offered to book them a lodge close by. And I was very happy because there was tension between us, but he was willing to do that for my mom. So that made me feel good. So the following day, when they left, it caused problems again. It was like, your mother disrespected me. How dare she come into my house unannounced? And when my phone went off. So my mother did try to call me, but my phone was off. His phone was in the car. So she did try to call him as well, but then his phone was in the car. So she was like, how dare she just rocks up at my house? I was like, but she did say she did attempt to call us. Did you not find a missed call on your phone? He was like, yes, but only one. So in his mind, like, if someone is really desperate, they should have called you more times. Sure. So that caused a lot of problems, so much so that my aunt, in the next couple of days, she was like, I think it's better if your mother does not come to your house anymore. And I agreed. Because he was saying that we need to call a family meeting to reprimand my mother, or I need to be trained on how to respect. Yeah, and also just to respect my marital home. You know, I needed training. I needed a meeting, a family meeting for that. So my aunt was like, you know what? Clearly, you guys are having problems, and at this point, there's nothing that your mother can do that is good enough. I think your mother should stop going there. And I remember I called my mom and I was like, Mama, I love you. I appreciate. I know what you are doing. Like you wished only the best for me, but at this point in time, in December, when there were fights, you were to be blamed. With my behavior, my cooking skills, everything, the way I walk, the way I cook, they are blaming you. They say you did not raise me well enough. So the way I cook, the way I walk, everything that I do, that I'm doing wrong, it's all your fault because you didn't raise me well enough. And right now you come here, you visit, and it's causing more problems. I think it would be best if you stop coming over or you stop checking up on me. I remember at the end of the line, my mother was crying and I was also crying, but she said, it's okay, my baby. And as much as I needed her, I felt like, okay, just maybe if I cut it out, things will get better. That's how determined I was to make my marriage work.
Until it got better.
It didn't, because it was during the week when all of this happened. Now on a Friday, we've been struggling financially with my husband. It's a week before we even get paid. There's not enough food in the house. We're planning, how are we going to survive the 1 week? We're even thinking of borrowing money from people. So on that Friday, I'm sitting in the house. He comes, and for the first time in a long month, in a while, he came and he embraced me. You know, so I felt happy. I was like, okay, I think we are getting somewhere. I feel like our family is finally getting back together. Few moments later, he left and he went to the sitting room. So around 8 p.m., I actually went into the living room. I thought I want to join him, and he was not there. I looked out of the window. His car was not there. I looked everywhere. He was not there. He's someone who does not drink, he does not smoke, he does not party, he hardly stays out until late. Around 10, he's still not home. Now I start panicking. I call his phones, there are no answers. This goes on up until around midnight. This has never happened before, ever, never. So I start panicking, his phones went off. By 2 a.m. when both his phones went off, that's when I panicked. I started calling friends, I started calling relatives, I started waking people. I was like, please wake up. Have you seen my husband? All I need is to just have someone tell me he's okay, because right now I'm panicking. By 7 a.m., no one has heard from him. I've contacted anyone and everyone there is on earth, and everyone is saying you were the last person you were to be seen with. 7 a.m., I finally decide, our son is 6 months old by that time. 6 months old, I decide to go to the police station. And even then at the police station, the police asked me, did you guys have a fight? I was like, no. Were you the last person to see him? Yes. And they were laughing at me. They didn't believe me. Yeah. But they were like, if you're going to open a missing person file, come at 12 p.m., come at 12 noon. Maybe he went to see Makwapeni and he fell asleep somewhere. Honestly, I even started a WhatsApp group with his friends. I was like, I don't even need you to tell me where he is. Just tell me that he's okay. If you know something that I don't know, please. Because I haven't slept, I haven't eaten, I have a baby right now. I don't think I can handle bad news. Tell me he's okay. He was nowhere to be seen. 12 noon, I go back. I called his friends. I was like, please come with me to the police station. They went with me. We opened a missing person file. They gave me a list of mortuaries, hospitals, to go check him, because on the systems, there was nothing to say he was arrested or a car accident or anything. They checked a certain area, and that's the task that they gave me, to go look for him at those places. They said if we don't find him by 2 p.m., then they'll start investigating. So his friends, they tried to help me, but they also had other commitments. We went back in their house, and I remember before they left, they were like, you know what, how about you try to get hold of his car tracker, because his friends were taking turns. The plan was for them to take turns, staying home with me while others go to the hospital and to those different places to go look for him. So it just came to my mind to start to contact the car tracker. I had access, I had passwords to his emails. I was able to get search details, and luckily I was part of his contact people. And the car tracker, they started looking for him. And at 2 o'clock, we did alert the police to start investigating, because we still could not get hold of him. So thankfully, by around 5 p.m., the car trackers were able to locate his car someplace
now
in...
that's the following day.
It is the following day. Sure. They located the car someplace in Mpumalanga, which was about 3 hours and a few minutes outside of Gauteng. And where they were seeing his car, they were saying at the left, there's like there's a river, and on the right, there's a hotel. My mind just said, yo, they killed him and dumped him in the lake. That's what I was thinking, you know. But yeah, so I was asking them, yes, please do dispatch a team to go there. And around 6 p.m. eventually they called me, and I remember the response person at the other end of the line was like, ma'am, please confirm again, why were you looking for this man? And I said, yo, my husband has been missing, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm just surprised because your husband is just surprised. This guy, he's surprised when you say there's a wife at home looking for him. And I was like, no, please confirm his details. Let's be sure. Then I could hear him. They're like, sir, please confirm, what's your name? And at the background, I heard his voice. He confirmed his name and his ID. And for me, at that point in time, it was a huge relief because I felt like we've been financially struggling, and he passed 2 toll gates to drive, and he drove for over 300 kilometers to get wherever. He must have had money, you know. Money, he felt like with the little money that he had, it was better suited or to be better spent with him going to get air or something like that. There's something, he needed a stress reliever of some sort because clearly he could not get that same fresh air here. And I remember I told his friends, I was like, thank you for helping me find him, but now that I know that is okay, I don't want anyone to question my husband. All I ever needed to know was that he's okay. And now that he's okay, let's give him that time to refresh, you know. And I remember he sent me an SMS around 7 p.m. I was like, I'm coming home, my wife. And he came home still the following morning he got home at around like 3 a.m.
So
like I said, I had
him around 5 p.m.
Around 6, yeah.
6, he sends you a text, I'm coming home.
Mm-hmm.
Only to arrive the next morning.
Yeah. That was meant to have been his first Father's Day. He got there at whatever time. He was wearing the same everything, shoes, underwear. Trust you me, I looked at him. He just said hello and he got in bed. Woke up the first thing in the morning, he bathed. He was getting ready to go to church. He was like, are you coming to church with me? And I looked at him, I was like, not today.
So
not today.
He didn't say where he was?
Nothing. And our church, it normally goes on for 2 hours.
Yeah.
That day he left. It was Father's Day, you know. I cooked, I prepared, I cleaned up. As much as I was angry, I was hurting. And I thought to hurt him back, I'm just going to prepare this nice Father's Day gift and leave it in the house for him to find. Yeah. I took our son, we left, went to visit our friend. I came back home at around 8 p.m. and he still wasn't home. Sure. So, yeah, even the next 2 days he was coming home late. And then finally, the final breaking point for me, because once again, already I was questioning my worth. Yeah. It's like, by now he knows that I contacted the whole entire world to look for him. But I'm still not worthy to be told where he was. Yeah. He'd never checked up on me. That day, I felt my heart beat so fast, I think I almost experienced a heart attack. And even my right eye that day, because of how my stress level I experienced, it moved, it shifted. And even from that day, now it's better, because for the past 4 years, every time I'm so stressed out, my stress level comes from my right eye. And I literally feel a bit paralyzed. And my eye, even in pictures, when I smile, my right eye would go down a bit because of the amount of stress that I experienced that day. Because once again, his mother, as we're leaving the police station and I was in my crying state, there was a female relative once again that called me and she was like, what did you and my mother do to my child? And I remember I gathered enough strength to say, you know what, whatever theory or you have, let's assume I did it. Now what? And she was like, no, just find him and stuff like that. So had something really gone wrong on Saturday, God forbid, him being dead, who was going to be blamed? I was only 23 years old at that time. But nonetheless, still I'm not worthy to be told what, to be given an explanation or even to spend time with me, because nowadays are going by. I would like to believe that everything we've been through the past weekend has proven how much I care about you and your safety, your well-being, actually. Because I told people not to question you so that you can be okay. But what about me? What about me and a 6-month-old baby? So now in the middle of the week, once again, I received a phone call. I was at work. We were literally in the same department. Where we were sitting, it's like an open plan. It was me, there was an open chair, and then there was him. I received a call that day from a female relative of his again, and she was like, yeah, I just received an anonymous call. I can hear this person is based in Joburg, because they were speaking like broken Tsonga. And this person, basically, it sounds like a hitman. So I just wanted to tell you that if ever you guys are having problems and you want to resolve them, I don't think hiring a hitman would be a solution. I think it's better if you guys come home and we discuss them. And I was like, wow, I think you know more about what's going on in my household than I do. And had that been the case, if that is honestly true, why not call him? Right now, for me, it was like they are insinuating that I'm trying to have him killed. So that's how it felt like. Because if you were trying to warn someone, why not call your child and say, why not call him and tell him exactly that? When you are telling me and say there's no need to hire a hitman, what are you saying about me? I'm only 23 years old. I've only been working for about 9 months at this point. I don't even have a life insurance. I only have a funeral insurance of 10,000. Now I know better. I know you need more than 10,000. Even if my husband was going to die at that point in time, I would not be able to bury him. You are telling me at 20, I love this man to death. But you're telling me I'm trying to have him killed. I decided I'm too young for this. I remember I just drove out of the office crying that day. Still, he didn't come home on time. I spoke to one of his friends. I was like, this is what happened to me today. And he went to have a chat with that friend. And I remember that friend assured me, you know what? Okay, I was able to break through to him. He says he does not have a problem with you. He just has a problem with everyone mingling in your affairs. But more than anything, he will save you, like he will fight for you guys. And I received those words around 5 p.m. And when he said that, I was expecting my husband to come home and be like, I'm sorry, or let's work this out, say something. But that very same day, he came home after midnight again. And I could feel myself going numb. By morning, I decided I'm not going to work. I'm enough. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have money. But I just woke up that day. I let him go to work. I couldn't go to work. As soon as the helper came, because we eventually did get like a day helper, someone who was sitting with the child. I gave her the child and I just started taking out black plastic bags and I said, I'm moving out. I remember I sent him a message. I was like, I'm moving out. And within a millisecond, he said, okay. O and a K. I remember I was sitting there, another part of me was still hoping he would fight for us. But as soon as I received that message, that's when I started calling my relatives, friends, anyone I could think of who was based around Joburg. I was like, I don't have a plan. I have nothing to give you. All I know is that I need a place to stay today with my child. And I even called at home. I was like, please send me money. I don't even know how much money I need. Just send me whatever money because I need to move. No one understood what was going on. But eventually, I just packed up I was even walking around. I found a baki. There was this man. He's a Christian man. I found him, and he was trying to preach to me, like, don't leave your husband. I was like, if you really want to let God use you, let him use you in a way that whatever money I have, you drive me to where I'm going to tell you. Let God use you in that way because I can't stay here anymore. It feels like if he doesn't die, I'm going to die at this point because I've had it that much. And that's how we moved on. And I'm telling you, within a matter of minutes, he had moved on, honestly speaking. I still tried. I think I still tried to call meetings between us so that we can talk about the child. I labeled it, let's talk about the child. He didn't want any part of those meetings. I honestly just wanted to sit with him and hope maybe he'll feel something.
Yeah.
He didn't. He never asked about where we were.
Day you went, that first day you were like, I'm done, I'm leaving. When he came back from work, he didn't call, he didn't do anything.
That was the last call I received from him. I don't even know if he went home. I don't know, but that was it. On my side, that was it. That was the last communication I received. All I know is that the following day, I did see him at work, obviously, and more days, and he was looking well. He was eating perfectly fine. I could not eat. I could not even drink water. That's when I slowly fell into depression. And a few months down the line, I almost took my own life. Because that's how bad it was, you know. Having spent so much years with someone and you are thinking the breaking point was me marrying him. You know, is this what he was waiting for all those 9 years, for him to mistreat me the way that he did, to emotionally break me because he never physically touched me or anything. But everything that everyone did to me, I was only 23, it was too much to handle. And my biggest crime in all of this was loving that child.
Sure. So now you dated for like 10 years?
Dated 9 years, married 10 months.
Sure.
Dated for 9 beautiful years. But the 10 months, if I could, I would take it back.
Yeah.
I would rather have us date forever and ever.
Sure. So I want to get to the point where you talked about the suicide, right?
Yeah.
You went into depression. What now leads you to that?
Like I said, honestly speaking, I was still in contact with a lot of his friends, some of his family relatives. Everyone was assuring me that, you know what, this is just a phase. Yeah. You guys can still work through this. As much as I was hurt and I was like, I am so done with him. A part of me was still hoping he would come and apologize, you know, and I was ready for this grand event where we reunite. And that wasn't happening. And then it was sometime in October. Yeah, sometime. I mean, when we were still married, there was a point in time where I had the opportunity to go to Cape Town with my family. It was for work, but I could bring like my family and stuff. And at the last minute, he said he could not join me because he's never flown in a plane, you know. So he backed up. I ended up going there alone for work purposes. So now I saw pictures of him on social media with a girl. They were on a vacation somewhere outside of Gauteng, and you needed to fly out in a plane. So realizing that it was not a matter of him being afraid of a plane, it was me he did not want to go with.
Now he can fly, looked aside.
He can fly, number one. And number two, seeing those pictures, that confirm. You know, you hear rumors that someone has moved on and you're thinking you're okay, but to actually see it, for me, I remember I was at work. By now, he had moved to like a different office within the same building. I was at work when I saw that picture. I remember I got up and I literally ran to check his office if he was not there. And he truly and honestly was not there. And some of his friends that were assuring me that we'll be okay, they were on the vacation with them. So having seen people just yesterday telling you to hang in there because he loves you, and today you're seeing all these people with the new girl, it was, and the friends, they were the ones that had uploaded the pictures. It was like, everything I had known or everything I was holding on the past few months was a lie. And I just broke down. I left and I got into my car and I was just driving around Joburg. I was crying so much. I looked at that picture over and over and over and over again. And even then, I've been crying so much the last couple of months. I'd lost so much weight. I'm already a skinny person. Now imagine me losing more weight on top of this. I was bony, you know. I was fading. I remember even the one time I got off the lift at work and this lady was like, "Where are you going?" And I'm like, "I'm going to my desk." She was like, "No, you look so thin. You look like you're fading away." And sure. Honestly, it felt like I was fading away because I'd lost myself. Yeah. I was on survival mode the last couple of months. And now having seen those pictures, they just exposed all the emotions I was keeping in. I was just driving around and I just told myself, the next bridge I'm going to come across, I'm just going to drive over it. And there I was thinking, you know, I'm going to have this grand event of dying or just, actually I'd never meant to die. I just wanted the pain to stop. So I just wanted a grand event where I'm going to drive off a bridge and maybe I'm going to fall off the highway and it's going to be covered in the news, and all of a sudden everyone that's ever hurt me is going to feel remorseful. You know, that's what I'm thinking, my train of thought, that's where it was. And as I was driving, because I was not familiar with the area that I was in, at that point, I didn't even know where I was. And in front of me, I could see a bridge. There it was. And I was like, okay, this is my moment. And then my phone kept on ringing. Like the nanny that was left with my son at my cousin's house, she was calling me nonstop. And as I approached it, like I'm getting distracted because I'm in my moment of misery, you know, I'm crying and the phone keeps on ringing. Then as I approach the bridge, my car is like a bit jamming. You know, when you're driving on gear 4, but you are driving 10, 20, the type of situation. My car is like jamming and stuff like that. And eventually it stops just before the bridge and I broke down. I broke down even further. I realized I don't want to die. I don't want to die. I just wanted the pain to stop. But even then, because there were so many cars behind me, they were hooting, I panicked and I drove forward, and almost immediately once again, at the robot, my car jammed. And as people were hooting for me, I just saw on my left Rhema Bible Church. And I decided, because I have done my research previously about different places that offer free counseling, because I could not afford paid counseling. And just seeing those words, Rhema Bible Church, I just drove in there. I remember it was drizzling a bit round about that time. And as I arrived at the church, and there was also the car patroller who was showing me, oh, go this side. And I just drove. Where I parked my car, I could see that that's where they actually have the counseling place. I went in there, I was like, my name is Sophia Vutomi Tshabala. I'm not okay. If you don't help me today, tomorrow you'll probably read about me in the news. And as much as I was not a member of the church, they opened the doors to me. And I sat down, because in the previous months, I had tried to talk to people. I had tried counseling, formal counseling. I spoke to a white lady. I spoke to an Indian lady. But it felt like none of them were really getting to the core of my problem. They did not understand. Every one of them were asking me, why are you crying? Why are you crying? And for me, it felt like there was not a good enough reason. But when I got there, that pastor who was there and counseling me that day, he spoke something so profound that spoke to my soul, that made all the difference to me. He said that the way you are feeling, for me, I was, more than anything, I was traumatized about the Sangoma issue. As much as we had spoken about it after that, my father was a pastor. My grandfather was, from what I understood, he was a Sangoma. But then my father cut off his own biological father so that we could not be exposed to such things. Now you, as my husband, you're not even properly introducing me to this life. You are tricking me into it. How do I go there? I could not visit my father's grave because I held so much shame. It was haunting me to ask, like, that question, like, what did they really do to my child? It was haunting me. Yes, I did do all of these things with the hope to save my marriage, but at the end of the day, we still didn't work out. So it was like I gave everything for what? Mentally, I was not okay with myself. But what that pastor said to me on that day, he said, the Bible says that the wife must submit to her husband. You did everything right by the Bible. You submitted to your husband. Your husband as the head, he is the one who misled you. And that made all the difference to me. I was okay in the eyes of God. I did everything, whether it was good or bad, I did it with the guidance of my husband. I did it with the guidance of someone. I did my part, I trusted. And that made all the difference. That made all the difference. So the next few sessions, the counseling sessions that I went through, I feel like they were fruitful because I was already able to get to the core of the problem. And having to realize, when seeing those pictures, it was like a confirmation that, all those dreams that you had with each other, forget them. They're not going to happen. All those plans. Everything you've achieved together, it was up until this point. Going forward, you're on your own. It was scary, having to have the idea of now I have to dream on my own. I have to live on my own. I have to do things on my own. I was used to thinking half the idea and he finishes the rest, Now I'm living this dangerous life and he's not there to keep us safe. That was
and it
scary.
Makes sense, right? Because from 14, when you are forming your personality and just how you view life, he's here by your side, So when you mature with him by your side.
Yeah.
So now how do you get through that? How do you get over that
Yeah.
anger circle like in your life? You know,
Yeah.
you've mentioned the counseling, you know. What other things or mechanism you introduced in your life just so you can pick up stuff, you know?
It was really difficult, I won't lie. And people need to realize that healing is a journey.
Yeah.
And as soon as I realized that, because you don't just wake up and everything is okay.
Yeah.
It's not there's no going back. You don't go through such traumas in life only for you to go back to being the old person. I needed to accept that I can never have the old Vutomi back. I needed to embrace the new me. I needed to own up to the pain because I felt the pain. I needed to, my healing journey, it looked like some days going to sleep and waking up without crying in the morning. That's how my journey looked like. Through the help of counseling, it also looked like me going back to my mother and asking for apology. Me calling back all those people that I've cut off. Some of them, I was not even told to cut them off, but I felt like if I want to progress in life, I need to cut off friends, which is a big, big mistake. You need to have a certain level of your independence still. You know, you have him, but you come together and become one person. But you don't take away what you already are. You know, I needed to learn that I need to. And it looked like me going back and asking for apology, talking to those people, opening up to those people. It included me going back to those people, those female relatives that mistreated me, facing them. It started because I used to be scared to go home. I think it took me about 6 months. I stayed without ever traveling to Limpopo because I was scared. What if I bump into them? That's how much power I gave them. I just made on a random day, I visited them at work. I knew they could not harm me when I was at their workplace. They did not expect me. Going there, seeing them, it woke something up inside of me. It brought a certain level of healing. I made everything about my life intentional. Who I let into my life, who I talk to, the things that I do. I've put me at the center of it all. That's what my healing process looked like. It is me first. Even my child, he comes second.
Yeah.
My family, everyone comes second in my life. And I think it took that. First, forgiving myself for the bad decisions that I've made, forgiving myself for putting myself in that position, learning to love myself, learning to appreciate life on my own, then bringing back everyone else, and allowing myself to dream again, building that relationship with God again, embracing the parts of me that I've experienced. I own my pain right now, you know. Every now and then there are triggers that take me back there, but I have not had anything that wants me to take my own life. I haven't had that, thankfully, more especially because my dad died of suicide. Had I succeeded because of that suicide, that's the other thing that really broke me. I know how much pain it brought. I know what my father's suicide did to my mother. I know what it did to us. Had I succeeded, you know, I used to blame myself. I was like, wow, I really would have finished I don't think she would have recovered. So such things, me talking about it, coming here, sitting like this with you, it's a therapy, it's an ongoing process. Every time I discover there's a new level of healing that I unleashed or I unlock, you know. Those are the kind of things that I've done to sort of help myself. Counseling, it's a must. It's not something, I don't talk to people that knew us, that knew me, because I needed someone who would be independent, who will give me advice on something that's going to help me now, you know. And I took a break from social media because I felt like most of my triggers I got from social media. Seeing him post something, it felt like, he's attacking me. But the person is simply living, you know. People are simply living. Seeing people, even that girl, for dating him, as much as I knew her, and I felt like, at that point, it felt like a personal attack, like, how dare you date my husband? You know, you are breaking a family, but it was never about her, you know. She was simply dating a single man, It was never like, so I learned to separate all those things. I took a break from social media to let myself heal. And I started becoming intentional. I protect my thoughts. Anything that is against my peace, I don't even discuss. I'm out.
So now, from your story, right, where maybe towards the end, what you said, I think one thing that stood out for me is learning to let go. I think you see women who've been separated for 10 years, but in everything, one thing they cannot get out of their minds or hearts is the plans they had, it's the future they had. So they still hold on to that. So just to a woman now who's in the same situation where they're like, you know what, I'm done. You know, I cannot continue without this guy. Like I cannot see my life. I'm nothing without this guy. You know, what would you say to that woman?
I've learned that we deal with things in different ways, but more than anything, it's an internal process. You need to decide. People can tell you, you know what, this person is mistreating you, leave. And you won't leave. Or if you leave, you'll go back. But it's an inside job until you yourself decide that I'm enough. You will never heal and you will never fully leave. For me, it took me experiencing everything that I did. I mean, like I said, there were a lot of things from the moment we got back from home that happened in between. Those were just the two major events that contributed. For me, I was broken down so many times in that relationship that my low self-esteem was done. But I've had such a good life. I've been raised in such a good family with a good support system, with so much love, that when all of that love was taken away, I yearned for that love. I wanted it back, you know. And having experienced that good love, I felt like I deserve it. So when I left him, and as soon as I realized that even that comfort zone that I had, it's gone with him, and I worked towards getting back. I feel like more than anything, when you leave marriage or when a situation has failed in your life, you carry embarrassment, you carry the shame. You feel too ashamed to go back. I mean, I was sleeping, I left from sleeping in a double bed. I grew up sleeping in good beds. I was sleeping on a queen bed with my husband. Now I went to sleeping on a sleeper couch. And at some point it broke one leg and I was sleeping, it was a 3-legged sleeper couch with a child. So I moved from sleeping in a comfortable bed to a 3-legged sleeper couch, and I was content in that discomfort because I knew what I stood to get back. I stood to get back that comfort, that over love that I was getting from everyone. I was willing to live my life and be without the love of this one person who is clearly showing me they don't want me, and get back everything else. You know, life is beautiful. It is full of love. You get it from different places. So wherever you are receiving love and you are receiving fully, truly, and to its pureness, hold on to that. Hold on to that. But it is an internal process that you need to go under. It is a decision that you have to make over and over again, because sometimes it takes a simple thing such as that person calling you and saying, I want you back, and you fall into that old habits. Sometimes you have to put your heart aside and use your head. You know, the heart is the most dumbest thing ever. It is the dumbest thing ever. So for the longest time, I still had so much love for him. But then I needed to decide to make that conscious decision that no matter how much I might love him, I'm not going to text him and tell him about my emotions. He knows, he doesn't care, you know, live it like that. And even if he does care, I need to put myself in a position whereby I don't care about how he feels about me anymore. It's all of those things that, you know what, you need to fight these things. You know in your head that this person, if you go back with this person, when it comes to gender-based violence, this person is going to hit you again. But your heart is telling you, but he loves you. Forget the heart. Use your head.
And that's important, right?
Very, very important.
If I spent my life, the past 10 years with the person, obviously, you will feel that need to talk to them.
You will.
That, you know, but it doesn't mean it's fun.
Very uncomfortable, but it's not worth it. If you already know what the outcomes are like, you already know how it's going to end. So why bother? Set him free. Sometimes a person working out of your life, it's not your loss, it's their loss. And it is another way of God rechanneling your life. You know, with everything that I've gone through, I mean, I've always been someone who's been in the public space. I've been advising, motivating people on a whole lot of things. But then it took me going through this. I mean, my whole life story, it felt like it's been a fairy tale. Everything goes right, you know. When someone has had everything go right for them and they give you advice, they speak from a privileged kind of a position. So I feel like God also took me through that. So now I can be a little bit more humble. And when I eventually do talk to the people, to the audience that I am exposed to, now I speak from a point of, I've been through this, but it's possible. We can get out of this, rather than some fairy tale from a book.
Sure. So I just want to find out, right now, where are you, you know, in terms of a relationship with him, with your son, like where are you currently?
Oh, he's an amazing dad. He is an amazing dad to his child. I would not imagine this co-parenting thing with anyone else than him. He's an amazing dad. he does his part. So there, I think the start was a bit rocky for us, but we've managed to find a level ground. We are okay with that. I'm in good space with him. I respect where he is in life. He respects where I am. And I think we are better individuals right now being separate. It took a lot of work, but it's the kind of work we're willing to put in, both of us. So we are, oh, no, we're okay. We were okay. And it takes some, I think it took so much for me to actually realize that it's me he actually did not want, not his child. And I had to be content in that he has an amazing relationship with his child. And it would have been a tragedy for me to put my emotions and let that stand in the way of them having that relationship.
Yeah, that's another episode on its own. What you just said right now, to say you came to a place where you understood, okay, this person actually has a problem with me, but not with his son.
Yeah.
And you were at peace with that. I feel those dads get there at times with baby mamas, but it shows maturity.
Oh, he called me a baby mama. It hurts. It hurts. But yeah, that's the reality.
Yeah, but I think what you just said is just profound, because sometimes we don't look at it like, you think you and your son, you are just one. If they don't like you, if there's a disagreement between you two, then your son is involved in that. But you just being able just to separate that. Sure. So now, being with Sophia, where you are right now, do you think you consider getting married? From that laugh,
I think I have a different view of marriage right now.
Yeah.
And I've been intentional about the kind of couples that I engage with. And like I've said, it's not like we just got married and it was bad. We dated. So I know what true love feels like. I've experienced it. I know what true love or pure love is supposed to look like. And I would love to experience that again. So would I get married again? I think I'm in a world whereby there are a lot of divorce rates. I'm exposed to people who have good marriages, and I aspire for that. However, it would take a really special person, because I don't value marriage, or I don't value relationships as much as I did anymore. It would take a special kind of a person to really take me out of that, because I think my mind is more about going into a partnership. We can register a partnership. So I keep my things, you keep your things, I keep my surname. You don't even have to pay lobola. They've already had money before. But I just want someone who will get to appreciate that they don't own me, but to truly be there with the right intentions, which is to just grow old and build with me. I think that is as far as I can go with the concept of marriage. You never know, because I'm a sucker for love. You never know, maybe, but it's not something that I spend sleepless nights dreaming about. No.
The saddest thing about this story, right, and I understand your position, right, on marriage, is because most girls we've had, you find after the divorce, they'd be like, I didn't know this person, we got married just after 3 months. So you understand why that person would easily say, actually, next time.
But that's what I want to do. In future, I'll date for 2 weeks, 2 weeks, even 2 weeks. I'm all there.
Because with you, I'm like, how do I go on whereby and trust a human being where you shared your life with this person for 9 years, but they change in the 10 months of you being married? How do you develop that trust again? So I completely understand your position, But as per the name of the show, we want to know what keeps you going as Sophia right now. Just what keeps you going, what keeps you positive, and just lover of life, doing all these things we're doing on your YouTube channel as well. What keeps you going?
What keeps me going is having lost everything once upon a time in life and getting it back. Life is so nice. Life is nice. Life is good. Love is beautiful. Love is nice to have, to experience. And having experienced love before, I believe I can experience it again, So what keeps me going is the dreams that I have. Each and every single day, my son, I look at him, he saved me. Because more than anything, that phone call from the nanny would not have come through had it not been of him. Me looking at him, the smallest thing that we do every day, he pushes me. So more than anything, what I know that the world potentially has to offer me, and what I know I can get myself, what I can give myself. If I can get myself to where I am right now and be this happy, receiving love from another person, it will just push me to planet Earth. I'll go crazy. And just that whole idea, the whole concept, that's what keeps me going.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a lover of life. I just want everyone around me to be okay. What keeps me going is that I know what losing everything is like, and I got it back and got it back even better. So that's the message I love to preach to other people, and that's what I live for, to try and help people get out of the positions that they're in. We don't do pity party here. Yes, you are in a bad situation. How do you get out of it?
Sophia, we're at the end of the show. Thank you
Yeah.
very much for availing yourself and just sharing your story. You have a YouTube channel, right? Go
I
to
have
what
a
is it called for people who are going through stuff, mental health and all, because I know you tackle all those issues. Where can they find you?
Okay, I'm Sophia Vutomi Tshabala. I have a YouTube channel which mainly focuses on mental health, helping you heal, because more than anything, I want you to get to the healing, to the best part of life. So my YouTube channel is called Second Chances with Sophia V. And the whole aim, Vel, is just giving yourself a second chance when you've been dealt a raw deal. So yeah, that's where people can join me. It's mainly about mental health, depression, and anything and everything good. Yeah. Raising awareness from healthy co-parenting, raising your children to have confidence, everything nice, anything that has to do with having you feel good. Yeah. That's what I discuss.
Right. Thanks, Sophia. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and like.
Comment, everything. Thank you.
Sharp, guys.
Thank you.